And here we go. We are live. That felt like a long 30 seconds. Lloyd, you sprinted off there, got it back. I was impressed. That was quick. And wow, a massive welcome to Lloyd and Alex. Before I introduce you, what a week it has been. Sunday night, we had a Super League. Wednesday, we've got nothing. There is so much to talk about. I feel like I'm in a set of EastEnders. It is just keeps on changing every day. I am glued to my mobile phone. Lloyd, Alex, a massive hello, welcome. Alex, how are you?
I'm all right, thanks. Yeah, it's been a rollercoaster few days.
It's been emotional, hasn't it? And Lloyd, how are you doing?
All right, Belgium calling. It's like Eurovision, this, isn't it?
Yeah, 10
all good
points
here.
or 12, what we're thinking. Yeah, how many are we going to give you?
12 points always for you, Tom.
Yeah, of course, the UK of Belgium. And a massive thank you to you two, because obviously when we're doing the Friday night quizzes, you two are there, locked in, getting the job done and doing very well. So I appreciate that. And we're going to talk about Liverpool. Are the owners actually going to sell? We're going to talk about the Dutch and the Belgium league merging. And is that a good idea, or is that sort of the Super League? And we're going to obviously kick off with the Super League and get your thoughts and feelings. And is it greed or is it not? I'll start with you, Alex. The Super League. Sunday night, the news broke and everyone couldn't quite believe what they were hearing. What did you think when you heard the news on Sunday night?
Well, I thought, finally something has come out. Finally, we're going to see what they're proposing. And obviously, I was very disappointed with everything I read. It's a total disrespect to the culture of English football, and also, not just the Premier League, the other teams in the Premier League, the whole pyramid, the whole of Europe. Those were my first thoughts. And then you read more and more and you become more and more disappointed and you just want it to stop.
Yeah, but I think that's the view of everyone. It felt awful, didn't it? And Lloyd, how did you feel?
I thought it was a joke when I first saw it. I'd been watching the Formula One, actually, like I often do on a Sunday, and so I thought, I'd had a few beers, thought check my phone, see what's going on, and all I could see was this Super League stuff. I was like, why are they talking about rugby? Because Super League's rugby, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then it turns out I was like, what? These teams are going away, and you can kind of understand why some of those teams are in the conversation, but Arsenal and Spurs, it's a bit of a joke, really, isn't it? And I think I saw it first from an Arsenal source, so I thought it was a bit of a stitch up, really, but no, they were serious about it for 48 hours, and I'm you can't tell from the shirt, but I'm a Gillingham fan, and for me, I'm a fan who. When I go to Priestfield Stadium, to the home matches, I'm dreaming of my team, getting up to the Championship, getting up to the Premier League. And then one day, just like I did on Football Manager all those years ago, taking the team to lift old Big Ears, the Champions League trophy. And with this Super League, that would have been nigh on impossible, to achieve something like that. So from a fan's perspective, from a lower league fan's perspective, it felt like a big, middle finger up at us, all of us loyal fans, not just the fans of those 6 teams, but I think all football fans right up and down the pyramid.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because you got to look at Bury recently. Mm-hmm. They went under, and I don't know Gillingham's wage. I don't know how much you spend on wages. I don't know, but you eliminate those 6 teams suddenly. Because let's be honest, every Championship League One team, they probably spend just over what they should be. Would they have then suddenly would we have lost? Would we have lost a lot of clubs in the pyramid? We don't know that, obviously. We don't know if that would have happened. But people's livelihoods here, all for a bit of greed. That's how it felt to me. Now, Alex, obviously, I don't want to repeat too much we said earlier, but you support a club that are very passionate. They are very, very, they care about football. I used to live in Liverpool, and I know what they're like there. So to you to hear that they were being that greedy, did that sort of really hit you hard?
Yeah, I think the first thing to say is that you, when you're a Liverpool fan, you are an emotional supporter. That's the tone of the club. That's the tone of the manager. That's why Jurgen Klopp works really well at the club. There's a big connection between the fans and the team. But what we have now is we have a disconnect with the owners, which is disappointing, because we had seen progress over the last 10 years. We got rid of a set of owners before that let us down in many ways. There were big protests, and it was a relief to get rid of them. And the new owners had generally been pretty good. They, on the pitch, they helped us perform. And you think that after 10 years, they would have read the situation a bit better. it's disappointing because you like to think that they put as much effort into understanding the fan base in this kind of respect as they would in the marketing to make the money to sell the shirts, and that hasn't happened.
Yeah, no, I agree. It doesn't feel right, is it, at all? And I think the big thing is for you now. I know we take emotion out of it. Do you think they have to sell now? Is it a job of they're not welcome back to Liverpool? Is it you sell the club, or could they be welcome back? Do you think?
Well, it's a difficult one, isn't it? You know, if you look at the bigger picture, we've finally won a Premier League title with them at the helm. They got rid of Rodgers a few years ago, brought in Klopp. They've invested well in the team, some big signings. But when you look at this situation, in addition to the climb down over the ticket prices a few years ago, you're thinking to yourself, is there a way back? You see the comments and the statements and John Henry's video. And yes, the right words are said, but, you know, was there that kind of feeling? Did you feel that it was sincere in the same way that you feel that Jurgen Klopp's interviews are sincere after a game? And the answer to that question is probably no. You don't feel like that. So without wanting to write off the relationship totally, there's definitely some repairing to do, and I guess time will tell. You know, in a pandemic, it won't be easy to sell a club, and sometimes it is better the devil you know.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Really good point. I think what's interesting as well, you could see on Monday Night Football, and if you boys watched that, but like Jurgen Klopp was hurting. Yeah, did you say? Yeah, and maybe you get your thoughts, Lloyd. Did you? For me, it felt like Jurgen Klopp was in pain. He didn't like it. Be careful what he said, right?
Yeah, for me, I saw a very frustrated man, a man who couldn't say what he wanted to. I mean, as when it comes to the Premier League, as a pretty neutral fan, you know, I was really pleased to see Liverpool finally lift the trophy last year. It was lovely. You could see what it meant to the fans, to Klopp himself. He's really become, you know, a kind of adopted Scouser, I would say. And this was a man who this season has painted a very contrasting picture as Liverpool have fallen on tougher times on the pitch. All I've heard from Klopp this year was moaning about the amount of fixtures, too many games. Then his owners come along and say, oh, we want you to play twice as many games for the Champions League from next season or whenever it's going to be. And he didn't say a thing about this. That for me was just proof that he couldn't be his genuine self. He couldn't say what he really thought about this. So, yeah, I think we know deep down what Klopp and obviously Pep's been a bit more vocal about this as well over at Manchester City. But I think James Milner's words really kind of saved him. James Milner, I'm not sure why he felt so much freer to say this, possibly because he's towards the end of his career, at least as a player. But yeah, it was uncomfortable viewing, definitely.
Yeah. No, you're right. He sort of took out his pent-out frustration on Gary Neville. When you could tell, you're right. He's had a tough season. They haven't spent well, but they haven't really brought in a marquee signing. They've lost their centre halves. Unfortunately, his mother got ill as well, and you can tell it's been a really rough ride for Liverpool. And Alex Lloyd, maybe you know more on this than me. Not financially backed in January, which I found a little bit weird. I thought with no centre halves, that's when Jurgen Klopp would have been okay. You've had a bad season of injuries. There's a bit of money. Go and buy that centre half you need. Yet we didn't see that. Was that not backing Jurgen Klopp, or was that just the current climate we're in? Because they've obviously got money. Why did we not see that spent?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because, you know, in this current climate, you don't want your club to be totally irresponsible with money. And if you look at the numbers over the time that FSG have been at Liverpool, they've worked miracles really with the sales they've made, the money they've got in, the money they've spent. Yes, they've spent big on a few players, but you know, I was inclined to trust them. You know, it's between now and the end of the season. If you bring in a new player, they've got to settle in a pandemic. Would it have made a big difference? Was there someone out there that was good value? I don't see it as a question of backing Klopp or not backing Klopp. I saw it more of a case of being financially responsible, and that's one thing that you can't accuse the owners today of, you know, letting us down on. They have been very strong in their financial management of the club. But yeah, on the pitch, we've suffered from injuries, and maybe another centre half would have been a big name would have helped.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it was you could tell he was crying for help, wasn't he? and signing the lad from Davis, is Ben Davis from Preston, wasn't the sort of marquee signing I think he can expect. But do you honestly, Alex, do you think Jurgen Klopp will be there start next season? Do you think he'll be there? And
yeah, I think Klopp's very committed to the club and to the fans. I think he knows that he has something, special there. His position has never been questioned by the fans. You'd be hard pressed to find any Liverpool fan who has a bad word to say about him. And you've got to think that the only people who have question marks around them are the owners or John W. Henry, the players, the manager. Even through a difficult season, have not really received much criticism from their own fans.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Because I think, I'll get your point, Lloyd. I say the same question to you. Do you think Jurgen Klopp will be leading Liverpool first game of next season?
I'm not so sure. I take on board everything Alex has said there, but this is a man of real integrity as well. And if he feels that he can't trust the people he's working under, I could see him going back to Dortmund, or I can't see him going anywhere else in the Premier League. Certainly not. I think he's too loyal to Liverpool for that. But maybe, we don't know what's going to happen with Real Madrid or Barcelona over the summer. Sorry, Alex, I don't want to plant that seed of doubt. I know Klopp's love very much over at Anfield, but I wouldn't be so sure. Knowing Klopp is such a man of integrity, I'm not sure he'll stick around.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. I think it's going to be tough, isn't it? I think with Bayern Munich, the national job for Germany up for grabs. You're right, around Real Madrid, Zidane should be okay. At Barcelona, sort of all over the place. I could see the same as you. I think what he's done for Liverpool and the City, when I lived there, when he moved there, he got it straight away. He was with the people, and that's why I think they love him so much. But I think you hit the nail on the head. He lives for integrity, and you could see he was upset, and he looks a bit burnt out as well. I think it's got to him. I think the season's really got to him. Winning every game, suddenly not winning every game, must be a tough mentality. It must be hard to take, I think. And he's a winner, isn't he? He is a serial winner as well. I think that'd be hard. So, Alex, just yes or no then. You said there, but do you think they will sell or won't sell? Sell or no sell?
They won't sell. Okay. No.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's. I think you're probably right. It's quite hard, but they've made a lot of money, haven't they? They've done well. They've made a lot of money in a short period of time.
Yeah, if you look at the number, I'm no financial expert, but if you look at the numbers that are out there on the internet, the net spend and all that, you'd be hard. You can't really find many teams at that level who have that kind of record over the last few years. And one other thing, I have no doubt that Klopp will be there next season. I think that he started a project. This season's been very frustrating, but he won't want to go out finishing fourth at best, probably, fifth or sixth at this rate, but he'll want another crack at the Premier League. Yeah,
but I suppose I'll ask you one more thing. Again, this is all rumours, but the rumours are that, your front three will have to change. You can't have that front three anymore. One has to go. It looks like Mane or Salah, they're saying, because I think it's obvious to a neutral that those two probably don't get on. So let's say he sells a Mane or Salah. Is he going to get the backing and some more to have another crack at the Premier League? Because Man City are a different animal, aren't they? They've got two squads. So do you really think he could win the Premier League if he had to sell a Mane or Salah?
Well, I don't think Liverpool would sell a Mane or Salah without a plan. You know what I mean? There's no way they're going to go out the door without someone else lined up. So yeah, it would be difficult. If we sold one of those two. And didn't bring anyone else in, but I just can't see that happening.
Yeah, could I just come in here as well? I actually went to the FA Cup game, the Merseyside derby last season, Liverpool-Everton, when Liverpool, everybody was saying, I was in the pub before the game outside Anfield, everyone was saying, what's Klopp doing? He's playing all the youngsters. The youngsters that day, they went out and won, I think it was 1-0 or maybe 2-0, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But that young team were absolutely fantastic. And Liverpool, maybe they don't have the strength in depth experience-wise, but they do have it talent-wise. And I think Liverpool can look that little, deep into their academy for some talent to replace some of these superstars they've got at the moment if they need to.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. I remember that. I remember Curtis Jones scored.
Yeah.
A real curler, wasn't it? I remember he scored, and I can't remember the second. But yeah, you are right. They do breed very good academy players. Jurgen Klopp will give them a go. I think at the moment with Man City's dominance, and Pep Guardiola, and they're probably going to sign a striker of a Harry Kane or Haaland mould. I just think, wow, if they do that, this could be domination for a lot of years. But I hope not for the Premier League or the Super League. Hey, not more like
leave that one to one side now.
Yeah, I mean, the Super League can still happen with Juventus, Real Madrid, Barcelona, but I very much doubt it. I mean, that's good that we can let that go. Perfect. Yeah. So I think we can all agree the Super League was a horrendous. Maybe. Well, the thing is, I would jump in. I don't know if you boys have seen the revamp of the Champions League. I was mentioning this earlier. I think the revamp of the Champions League is really poor. It's almost a Super League without being called a Super League, right? They've added more games. They've added 2 groups. 2 teams will, regardless of their league position, will qualify through coefficient. So at the moment, Arsenal and Tottenham would actually qualify. They would get lucky in that rule. So it's sort of, when UEFA make these huge statements, I'm thinking, well, I don't know what you two think about that, but I'm not overly pleased with it, if I'm honest. Lloyd, what do you think?
You know what, Tom? I love the Champions League, but I love the Champions League kind of between the end of March and May. That's when I watch it. Group stage games, I might watch it if, there's an attractive one. Every now and then you'll get Real Madrid and Juventus or someone thrown in the same group, but very rarely do these games offer something exciting, especially when you've got that 2-legged element. And when you're playing games over 2 legs, it's more likely that the best team's going to win. So I find that I end up only watching the second leg sometimes, because I think, what's the point in watching the first leg? We don't know, it'll be 0-0 or whatever. Both teams will go out for that. So I think with this new format they've come up with, it's just going to make it even worse. 10 group games. I don't really know what they're thinking. It's they're going down the wrong path. We're seeing the same kind of thing with the Euros as well, with the 2014 Euros from UEFA. So I think they're really overestimating our appetite for football and forgetting that what we want to see is quality games less often rather than a load of rubbish all the time. Yeah. That's my thoughts on it.
No, I think actually it's really funny. I actually echo you completely. I was saying this in the week. I think the same. I only watch the Champions League, maybe quarterfinals, maybe semis, because, for example, Chelsea are in the semi-finals and they played Rennes, Krasnodar, Sevilla, who are pretty much Europa League teams at best. They beat an Atletico Madrid, but La Liga are struggling, and they beat a Porto. It's not really gets you going. Alex, what do you think? Any passing thoughts on the Champions League?
Well, the same really. They structure everything to keep the big boys happy, and the price that we have to pay for that, apart from the subscription, which is a joke, is that there are loads of games, most of which, until Christmas, like you say, don't mean much, if anything. And when I was growing up, if my team were playing Barcelona or Real Madrid, it was a once in a 5-year thing, and the more this happens, the way the Champions League is going, it's just going to become like a regular fixture, like Liverpool, Arsenal in the Premier League. So yeah, but I mean, the coefficient thing is a get out of jail free card for the big boys, and even as a Liverpool fan, we may or may not qualify for the Champions League next season, but I think if we do, it should be on merit, and if we don't, it's because we haven't been at the standard that we need to be at, and I'm not a fan of that kind of system at all.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, exactly. If that system is in place now, you could finish 10th. It wouldn't matter. You're going to be one of the coefficients. Because obviously you had a final, you've won it, and it doesn't quite sit right, does it at all? And we learned something on Monday. That you boys in this. Chelsea played Real Madrid, and that's the first time they've ever played each other over 2 legs, ever. There's a little bit of stat. I didn't know that, and that's what's beautiful at the Champions as well. Yeah,
maybe I'll actually watch the first leg of that one then as well.
Yeah, maybe that's a bit of history. They played each other apparently 2 finals.
A bit of history.
Yeah, 2 European Cup finals apparently, not Champions League, European Cup. They've never played each other over 2 legs. So there is an element to when you play Real Madrid, it's a celebration, or Barcelona, because you're not used to it. And I think you're right. They're going to dilute that by having systems. Awful.
I think what I miss in the Champions League as well is seeing the champions of some of the lower countries in there as well. Seeing the champions of Bulgaria or Cyprus or whoever have their day in the sun. In the early rounds, play Real Madrid over 1 game. It's anyone's game, but the way it's set up at the moment, it's guaranteed for the big boys to get through. And I mean, that's why we still love the FA Cup. I think like the FA Cup gets a bit of a bad rap, but personally, I really like the FA Cup because you never know what's going to happen on the day. And I'd like to see a bit more of that jeopardy in the Champions League as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I think from the FA Cup, they need to do something with the FA Cup. They need to make it like, I don't know what I would do. The winner needs to get a really tasty prize, but then suddenly
the winner should get the Champions League spot instead of the 4th place Premier League team. That's what I reckon.
Yeah, that's been mentioned before, isn't it?
Then Gillingham can get in the Champions League.
Yeah, can you imagine?
That'll be the day.
Yeah, that's how you do it. You get the Champions League. They need to do something because that competition is beautiful. And you're right. Gillingham might go. I remember Bradford went and beat Jose Mourinho's Chelsea 3-2. I mean, 2-0. The magic of the cup. But boy, that's perfect. Right, we're going to move on. That is superb. Right, now I'm going to, Lloyd, this might be more your specialist, I think, subject. Obviously, you live in Belgium. Belgium and the Dutch league merging together. What do you think about
that? Well, this story it's been rumbling under the surface for about 3 or 4 years now. Right. But the Belgian clubs finally last month, it was about a month ago now, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, voted, all 25 of them, which sounds like a bit of a strange number. And there's a story to that as well. But basically, all of the clubs voted in favor of merging with the Dutch league. Belgian football is going through a really tough time at the moment. You might have noticed the top league, which is for sponsorship reasons called the Jupiler League, named after Belgium's favorite beer. It's called the Division 1A. And the second division is called the Division 1B. And this is because there's some reason for this. It's because technically some of the teams in the second tier can qualify for the Europa League, but it has to still be called Division 1 because of some playoff system. Like they've brought in all of these playoffs to try and spice it up. It's really not working. You've got 16 teams in the top tier. The team that I support here in Belgium, Union Saint-Gilloise, they're the team in my neighborhood. The stadium's about a kilometer away from me. They've actually just got promoted. Unfortunately, we couldn't go to the stadium. They spend the year playing 7 different teams in the second tier, just 8 teams playing each other all the time. Last year, because of the pandemic, a couple of teams had to drop out of the league. They actually didn't have enough teams to fill in the professional second division. So they asked Club Bruges, they said, could we put your youth team in the second division? So Club Bruges' second team or youth team are playing in the second division. So Belgian football has been in a right old mess and they're looking for ways to sort this out. At the top, you've still got some decent teams up there. You've still got Club Bruges, Anderlecht, Standard Liège as well. But throughout the pyramid, it's not going well at the moment. Then up in the Netherlands, it's a bit of a different story. They're kind of like quite a strong middling league. I would say you rank the European leagues, you've got the big 5, then you've got kind of Portugal and Netherlands, solidly kind of 6th and 7th, I would say. And they're doing pretty well. So the idea has gained a lot of traction here in Belgium. We look just over the border. Generally in Belgium, football is stronger in the Dutch-speaking part of the country than in the French-speaking part of the country. I'm not sure how much you know about that, but we have 2 languages here. It's basically 2 countries in one here. So there's been a lot of traction for this in Belgium, and they voted for this. Now, in the last few days, especially on the back of the Super League announcements, Ajax have come out and said that they are not in favor of this. Some of the other Dutch teams apparently are saying that they're not really in favor, which has been a bit of a surprise because there had been this kind of breakaway group of, I think it was 6 Dutch clubs and 5 Belgian clubs who have been saying together, oh yeah, we would really like to form a league. Obviously, there's a lot of benefits with this. It would become probably the 5th or 6th biggest league in Europe if you combined them. And I think it's fair to say that it would be on par probably with Ligue 1, maybe slightly below Ligue 1 in France.
Yeah.
But the Dutch league, I think they've looked at what the reaction to this Super League and the way the fans have reacted. Some of the fans here in Belgium have not reacted so well to it, and I think this has caused a little bit of reticence in the last few days as well.
I thought Belgium would be running for that. Like, I was doing some figures I was working out. So you've got the Premier League make 1.6 billion in TV rights. The League 1, the French, is actually next, 1.2. However, there's question marks over their sponsorship, and that might not go through. And again, but I looked at the Eredivisie, only 8 billion.
Yeah.
And the Belgian League's 103. That's the A, the B, and women's football. So you've got 3. So really, I mean, either of those 2 merged. I mean, to put it in context, the English Football League gets more gets over half more than the Dutch league. So you would have thought both leagues would be saying, yes, we need this. This is exactly what we need.
Yeah. I mean, the estimate is that the TV deal would end up being worth about 400 million euro per year.
Right.
The issue is the fans. Of course, fans love their traditions still. The fans of Club Bruges, they want to play Cercle Bruges, their city rivals, every year. Here in Belgium, we've got Anderlecht, and now that my team, Union Saint-Gilloise, have been promoted, they want that cross-city rivalry, and they're worried that these are going to be lost in this as well, and that you're going to, okay, these are fairly small countries we're talking about, but Vitesse Arnhem fans or Groningen fans up in the north of the Netherlands don't want to be driving all the way down to the south of Belgium to Mons or somewhere like that.
But then we get it. Imagine if you lived in Liverpool and Everton. Yeah, you didn't play Everton. We'd be exactly the same, wouldn't we? And I think the big thing is as well, I think as a consumer, Alex, if you heard the Dutch league and the Belgian league were joining together, would that be something you would watch? Is that really going to get that's because ultimately that's what it comes down to. They might make 350 million in the first year, but are people that don't live there, are we going to watch those teams? Like Alex, would you switch on to watch Dutch and the Belgian league merge?
Well, I'd like to think that if there was a big match between Ajax and one of the big Anderlecht in Belgium, that I would turn on. But the truth is that there's so much football on TV every weekend that you're not really going to make space to watch it. And the other thing is, it might make a bit of a splash in that part of Europe, but even if they merge, it's like you said, it's not going to enter the top five leagues, in Europe or the world. So it's always going to struggle, and the relative, population of those countries is quite low. But I guess it would be like not an experiment, but it would be interesting from a bystander's point of view to see how that would work, because it would open maybe the door for other parts of Europe. I don't know, in Scandinavia, for example, or they've spoken before about like a Atlantic League, haven't they, with Portuguese teams, Scottish teams, and other teams from other parts of Europe. So, from that point of view, it would be interesting to see how it worked out and what kind of audience there would be, and whether the competition just ended up with like Ajax running away with it like they would in Holland sometimes.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah.
It's quite a unique opportunity, really, when you think about it, because the Dutch league is kind of the 7th best in Europe. I think Belgium in the latest coefficients is like 11th or 12th. Right. So you've got two fairly similar sized countries which are geographically next to each other as well, with the potential to merge. You look around the map of Europe, you can't really see anything else. I mean, Scandinavia, you would need like all 3 or 4 countries to do it together. So it's an interesting thought. The real Achilles heel, I think, with this is going to be the European places as well, because everybody wants to protect what they've got. Each country already has, I think, 2 Champions League places, obviously for only the qualifying rounds. I think, do Ajax get an automatic berth? I think maybe they do. Yeah, they do. But there's a lot of protectionism going on about that, and it's likely that one of the trade-offs for creating such a cross-border league would be UEFA saying, okay, but you only get 3 Champions League places between you rather than 4, or you only get a few. They've got this new UEFA Conference League as well, so they can argue the toss over that. But I think that's where this is really going to fall down. And I mean, Belgium is a very bureaucratic country, and people love having these big ideas until they look into the details. So that's why the Belgian clubs will always kind of vote first and then worry about the details later. In the Netherlands, they've taken kind of a more considered approach and thought, let's see what the details are, then we vote for it. And we've ended up now with a bit of a face-off, and both countries are feeling a bit silly, I think.
I think you're right. I think it's harder because you look at, they're right, the Atlantic League. I think you had those 2 countries, Finland, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, and these 2 are sort of like kind of broken off, and like they've obviously just had discussions between themselves. But 80 million a year for that's what Brighton get. That's just Brighton get the same as the whole Dutch league. Now Ajax are competing in the Champions League. How can you compete in the Champions League if you're getting a percentage of 80 million? You can't, can you? And that's why they sell these players. They produce these players, they sell them. But there has to be a point where they go, we don't want to do this anymore. We want to be successful. we want to have a go. We want to be a top club. And I'm sure they could probably get an agreement where they say that you get 2 Dutch clubs, 2 Belgium, regardless where they finish, maybe get Champions League spots. But I do think that they're going to have to do something, aren't they? Because they can't keep falling behind. Again, it comes down to integrity. Is it fair as well? Is it fair they continually fall behind?
Yeah. Another issue as well is kind of those kind of higher part of the mid-table teams. So they're, instead of, winning every other week, they're going to be losing most of their games, and they're going to be, fighting not to get relegated back to because they're saying that they would keep the second tier as the current top leagues in each country, if you get what I mean. So you would have the Beneliga would be above this, then you would have the Eredivisie and the Jupiler Pro League, as they are, just with weaker teams, and those kind of middling teams are a bit worried that they're going to end up just yo-yoing between these 2 leagues and not really having a real home.
Yeah, which makes sense. The Beneliga, love that name.
Yeah.
I thought when I heard that, I was like, it can't be called that. It's an interesting it's an interesting idea. But I think football to move on. Obviously, we hope that doesn't happen. But yeah, I think it will be very, very interesting. Alex, any final thoughts on that at all?
Yeah, I mean, this all comes down to money. It's very obvious, isn't it? But we're well along the track on that train, on that gravy train, all that money that's been created in Western European leagues. And, we're here talking about competition and integrity. Well, it's too late, isn't it, to redress the balance and to get the great teams of the, Steaua Bucharest or those teams from Central or Eastern Europe back at the top of European football. That ship has sailed, and we're stuck with an English team, a Spanish team, Italian, maybe a French or German team winning the Champions League, and that's the way it's going to be, no matter what format it takes.
Yeah, you're right. We talk here about integrity, and we talk about everything. But like I said in the last podcast, A, we don't trust who runs football. And B, with no financial fair play, football isn't regulated anyway. Like PSG can go and sign Neymar for 200 million and then get Mbappe. And when they get hit with financial fair play, they bring the best legal team in the world and they get away with everything. So it's okay us sitting here saying about integrity, but really football, the top 5 leagues. I mean, how is the French league? I mean, a Dutch and Belgian league is probably a more attractive appeal than the French league, but unfortunately, money talks, and I feel like with football, especially this week, it's all we focus on, isn't it? It's who's got the most money and how you're going to spend it.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, Tom, but living in Brussels, Brussels is linked to Paris by train. It takes less than 2 hours. Okay. I see so many people these days. I think it's because the language here in the city is French, and people are very connected. I feel culturally to somebody like Kylian Mbappe. And I see lots of people. The shirt I see around now, mostly in the city, is Paris Saint-Germain. That's the one that I see most in here in Brussels, in the city. So even the French league is now starting to, show its worth.
Yeah, no, I think also you got to remember the French league. They've got 2 global superstars who are brands, aren't they? They are like. If you were at any club now, I mean, Mbappe probably the first signing, wouldn't he? Any club now, he's young, he's won the World Cup, he's unbelievable talent. He's your one. If you're young growing up, you want to be Mbappe. He's scary. Obviously, Neymar, they're a brand. I would think, I could be wrong, maybe you know more than me. If Mbappe was to leave and go to Real Madrid, I really think the French league and PSG calm down their spending. I could see maybe the Belgium. If the Belgium and Dutch league, that's the league they try and catch up on. Don't think they could do it. They try. That's the one I'd aim to try and catch up on.
Yeah, exactly. But I already see that more people here probably watch the Paris Saint-Germain game. At least in the city, probably watch the Paris game than watch Anderlecht, for example. Which is a real shame. I mean, I've been to see Anderlecht play before. Don't tell any of my fans here in Belgium because they're city rivals. But I mean, I can understand why people are turned off from this as well. Going to see Anderlecht play was probably the most soulless football experience I've ever seen, like fake flares and stuff like this. So.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I can imagine that'd be tough. You got Vincent Kompany, isn't it? Is the manager?
Yeah, exactly. They're kind of one of these like big-ish clubs, but that they've kind of just fallen in this void of like, oh, we've had European success in the past and we're like one of the best in the country, but actually they're just not very relevant anymore.
Yeah.
So they've kind of fallen on this. They're always at least fourth in the league, but nobody cares about them. You know, people, especially in the city, people much prefer to come and watch my team now, who have been in the second tier, because it's a more interesting match day experience. Like the ticket's only €5 or €10 rather than €30. It's €30 to go watch Anderlecht, and you can't go and talk to the players. You go to one of the other teams in the neighborhood, Saint-Gilloise or Molenbeek or some other team around Brussels. Ticket is super cheap. You can drink a beer in the stadium without anybody, you know, getting angry with you, and you can meet the players and feel like you're really part of it. And at the end of the day, I think that brings us nicely full circle with what we were talking about with the Super League earlier, and it really is about the fans at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. It's about your experience, isn't it? I completely agree with that. You feel part of the community. You feel like Liverpool is it, like we were saying earlier. You're right. Is a people's club. You know, you never walk alone. The same, but it really is a people's club. And I think you're right. I think that's the experience we want, and we've lost that, haven't we? And with ticket prices being so high, we're losing the local fans as well. When you go to these grounds like Liverpool, sure, at Anfield, you either can't get a ticket or they're pricing local people out, and it's very corporate. And that's not what it was built to do, was it? So, and I think that's some really interesting points actually. And Lloyd, give us a shout out on your YouTube. You started a YouTube on Belgium.
Yes. So I've recently started a YouTube channel. It's called Hello Antonio. You can go and find it. Maybe Tom will put it in the description after the video if he can. Just random adventures around Belgium. So hopefully I'll be able to get to a few football stadiums as well and show you some Belgian football stadiums at some point.
Don't forget to come here.
I'll get over to Spain as well.
You're gonna get to Valencia, you're gonna kick about Valencia football. Alex, any passing thoughts? Anything you want to finish on? Obviously, you've made the call now. Jurgen Klopp's going to be there next season. The owners aren't leaving, and you're going to win the Premier League next. You didn't say that, yeah. I'm not going to.
I didn't say that one. No.
And, hopefully, not another 30 years for you, mate.
Yeah, I was going to say you've got another 30 years. But anything you want to finish off, or anything you want to say?
No, I mean, I think like most people, all I want is, you know, football to be thinking a bit more about the fans, and that something positive comes of what's happened this week. You know, we're not going to be able to turn back time and you know, change the structure of football totally, but what we can do is ask the clubs to think more about the tradition of you know, English or British or European football, and not have these owners who invest a lot of money, obviously, but come from other parts of the world trying to dictate something that is so essential to our culture. And hopefully this will be a turning point where you know, this won't happen again, and fans are considered.
That's good. I think that's a perfect closing point. I think you're exactly right. I think that's what we all feel, isn't it? Boys, thank you so much for coming on. Really, really appreciate it. I'm sure you're exactly the same. I could talk for hours, and it's been amazing. I'm going to end the YouTube now, but stay on because I want to end it. Keep on a second. We'll have a chat afterwards. But thanks everyone that viewed, watched it today. And boys, amazing work as always. Take care on YouTube.